Let me just pick up right there, Burgess and Condi, as it relates to the importance of parental involvement. And one of the things that you were talking about there, Condi, was the importance of learning loss and how parents are now seeing that learning loss is making it far more difficult for their child to get back on track. And frankly, when you think about going beyond learning loss, it's a sense of isolation that so many kids feel is a part of their lives now, and that's not good. I know that you served and have a passion around the Boys and Girls Club. And yesterday, during a parent panel, one of the parents, Denise, was talking about her involvement in starting mentoring programs. And I asked her, I said, what are your mentees saying? And they're talking about how this feeling of isolation and separation from their peers and the inconsistency of their schedule really does have an impact on their mental acuity, their ability to function at a high level. That's the passion of all three of us, having been mentors ourselves and having mentees. I think the parent involvement is a key component to creating that type of stability and certainty that all of our kids need. But those are some of the concerns that we heard from the parents. And let me just share one example. Nikki, who started a parent group, she said in Northern Virginia, she's not even allowed into the elementary school of her own child. That when she asked for more information from the teachers and then the principal for what are my kids learning, they said you basically needed to file a Freedom of Information Act to figure out what the kids are learning. I was dumbfounded by some of these comments. I'd love to hear your two perspectives as it relates to the importance of parental involvement and some of the comments that you've just heard me echo from the parent conference yesterday.
Well, all of my life as an educator, and I've been now an educator for decades, I heard, why I can't get the parents involved enough. I did have to say to my parents, no, you don't need to go to the school today because they were there all the time. It was their milieu. But what we needed to do, and what my parents as educators believed was, and my mother in particular worked in a very impoverished area of Birmingham. She wanted the parents involved, but she wanted to make it possible and comfortable for them to come into a place where perhaps they weren't so comfortable. But whatever happened to the idea that yes, the teacher is there for 8 hours with the student, or what are 6 hours these days, but the parent is there for the lifetime. And so you want the parent to be involved. When we started, I started something called Center for a New Generation at the Boys and Girls Clubs. There are now several of them around the country, and they're high quality after school and summer programs for underserved kids. And we do it in the school district, with the school district, but we insist that a parent or an advocate for that child somehow be involved as well, because you need that adult in the child's life to be a part of their education as well. So I just don't understand the argument that parents can't be a part, shouldn't be a part. Of course, they should know what their kids are studying. Of course, they should have a say in how their kids are educated. It's not to displace the professional qualities or the professional training of the teacher, but you need to think of it as a partnership with the teacher and the parent if the child is going to really be well served. And oh, by the way, if all of those messages that you're trying to deliver in the classroom are going to be delivered at home as well, the parent needs to be a part of that partnership.
And let me just add to that, because I was very blessed, and I can't say that all enough, to be raised in the community I was raised in. Just so you know, my first experience exposure to white Americans wasn't until I was 16 years old. So everything that my foundation was based on, a community that I saw, was all about our kids. My mom also, by the way, was a junior high school teacher. So education was really everything. The most important thing that we had was this partnership between parents and the teachers. It was the type of thing where there's so much respect for teachers that the worst thing you can do is get in trouble with the teacher, and hopefully they were going to tell the parents at home, because there's no way I can get out of it. I mean, I was going to have to deal with the consequences. So there we go. But that's because a couple of things. There was respect, that was expected of us. I mean, I grew up in a time when it was yes, sir, no, ma'am, yes. I mean, it was no matter who the elder was, what color they were, it was a amount of respect. And there was a remarkable amount of respect for the teacher because the teacher had the same end game as the parent. That is, their legacy was give this product that was going to go out and give a good name for their community, for their family, and be able to produce. And one day we can be proud of that person. With that comes this confidence that if you are going to go going against obstacles, because the parent and the teacher is giving you the confidence, you can overcome it. When I left Tallahassee to go to the University of Miami, my goal was to be a biologist, marine biology. And one of the things I faced was someone who said I could never do it because in those days, blacks weren't expected to do those kind of things. Well, because of the confidence I had between my parents and my teacher, I was determined to prove that person wrong. I spent the next 4 years in a library, day in and day night, to prove that particular person wrong. That was the way we were raised. It was, you see the challenge and you see yourself as a victor, and therefore you do whatever it takes to outwork and outrun and outproduce the person who has doubts about you. We need to get back to that. We need to get back to having high expectations for our kids and their potential. And if we see the failure going on, not put up with it at all. Enough of giving them room for people to allow kids to fail and think it's okay. So again, that partnership is imperative. And any place that does not going to give us transparency or allow the parents to be part of it, should have a choice to go someplace else.
Yeah, I just want to add to the point about high expectations because even here at Stanford, I've taught at Stanford for over 30 years. If I have low expectations of my kids, they will live down.
Meet it.
And so I often say, you know, I would go to some little play that the kids are running around and dancing and whatever, and people say, isn't that cute? No, actually it's not. Let them practice, and it will be better for everybody if they understand that they're actually achieving something by working hard. And so in our families, you didn't have excuses for poor performance. You were expected to do your very best. And I have a story actually similar to that of Burgess. We moved to Denver when I was 12, and so I went to St. Mary's Academy, a very highly regarded college prep school, because believe it or not, my parents thought the Denver public schools were not as good as the segregated public schools I had gone to in Alabama. And so the Denver public schools were into experimentation with new math and all kinds of things. And my parents said, old math is just fine. So they sent me to a college prep school. I took the preliminary SATs, but I was very young. I was only 12 when I started ninth grade. And so I didn't do very well. And the high school guidance counselor said to me, well, you may just not be college material. I went home laughing and said this to my parents. It was all I could do to keep them from getting in the car right then and heading to the school to confront her. I said, don't worry about it. I don't believe what she said because I had that confidence that my parents and my relatives and my community, the little place that I grew up in, Titusville, the place in Birmingham, Alabama, also produced the first National Merit Scholar in the state. Also produced a woman who became a governor of the IMF, first Black woman deputy governor of the IMF. The person who would go on to become the president of the University of Maryland, Baltimore County, Freeman Rabowski, who has trained more Black PhDs than any place in the country in STEM, lived right around the corner from me in segregated Birmingham, Alabama. So parents, community, family, and teachers, when they're one, the kid has a foundation that is unshakable when they meet those people who are going to have low expectations of you.
Well, that is a powerful story, and I love the list of successes that come from one small community in segregated Alabama. That just tells me that the best is yet to come. If we can coordinate, collaborate, and fuse our efforts together, we can make sure that more stories come from more parts of this nation than we had in the past. We should have more in the future. And I'll say, Burgess, we need to work harder on some legislation to make sure that the dreams that we're talking about today are realities tomorrow, because it sounds like they were yesterday, so they need to be tomorrow as well.